Hello gang, welcome back to our little slice of the internet. Welcome back to my dining room. I've decided to bring it all the way back home. My name is Yinka Bokinni. Each week I tell you a true crime story, and if you like what I do here, you're probably gonna like the little Instagram that I run, True Crime Anniversary, where I post almost daily. I mean, I don't post daily because work, but I share stories of this day in crime and all that sort of stuff. And we are less than 100 subscribers away from 5,000, 5K. So tell your true crime obsessed mates, share my content. All of that goes such a long way with this little microblog and helping it to grow. With all of that being said, let's get our 10-minute timer on the clock and give you what you're here for, a brand new true crime story. Welcome to the anniversary. Shwa-na-na-na, 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 shwa-na-na-na. Today, we are throwing it back to June 2014 and a case that turns 7 years old this week. It's one that is super famous, you've probably heard of it. It's also one that might divide you. Conrad Henry Roy III was an 18-year-old who was born in September in 1994 in Massachusetts in the USA. He was super athletic, he loved baseball, he ran track, he graduated at the top of his class. Now, on the surface, he seemed like he was a boss at life, like he had everything going for him. He worked with his dad, his uncle, his granddad on their family marine business, but under the surface, Conrad was struggling with mental health issues. He experienced anxiety from a super young age at school, and as he got older, it developed into full-blown anxiety disorder and depression. He saw therapists and counselors, but nothing seemed to help him. And right now seems like a good time to tell you that this case does deal with self-harm and suicide as well, so a bit of a warning on that one. Conrad's first suicide attempt was at the age of 17. He overdosed on paracetamol, but he was talking to a girl online at the same time. When he told her what had happened, she panicked. Of course she would. She called the police, she alerted them to his location, she saved him, but that wouldn't be the last time that Conrad Roy would attempt to take his life while in contact with somebody else. He met Michelle Carter when she was 15 and he was 16. They met in 2012, so they knew each other for 2 years by the time that our story starts to take place. They were both on holiday in Florida, and Michelle, like Conrad, she was troubled as well. She was on medication from the age of 14. She struggled with eating disorders, with self-harm, and when they met on this trip and realized that they were from the same place, from Massachusetts, and they only lived an hour away from each other, they hit it off. But weirdly though, after their initial meeting, they only met like 2 or 3 times in person, which I think is a little bit odd. Yes, they were young, but Conrad drove. Their relationship was really intense as well, but it existed online. So while they were calling themselves boyfriend and girlfriend, they spoke on the phone, they texted, they kept in contact on all the social medias, maybe Twitter, Snap, and Instagram at this point in time. They didn't meet up in person. Michelle helped Conrad through a lot of his social issues as well. She talked him down from suicide several times over the couple of years that they both knew each other, and she encouraged him to seek professional help. The pair, so Michelle and Conrad, would share their experiences with depression, and their conversations, especially for how young they were super dark, like really dark, and a theme ran throughout their correspondence as well. Conrad always spoke about committing suicide. He would send Michelle pictures of guns, of nooses. He would search how to get poison, how to achieve death by cop. He would tell Michelle that they should be like Romeo and Juliet, which she actually thought was cute at the time because it's a romantic love story. But he was talking about the end when they both take their own lives, and she used to tell him that she thought she had a lot to live for, that she didn't want to die, and that she didn't want to commit suicide. Conrad actually began blogging as well while vlogging, and he mostly focused on his mental health and the struggles that he was experiencing.
Social anxiety to me is the inability to function
By the time that he was 18, his parents thought that he seemed to be getting over his issues. His family thought that he was showing signs of improvement, but Conrad was worse than ever. He had just learned to internalize his suffering and to not show the outside world what he was feeling. By July 2014, his family remembers as him being pretty normal. On July 12th, he went for a walk with his mum and his sisters on the beach. They had ice cream, and although they'd later remember him being on his phone loads, texting someone, they also remember him being positive, him being antisocial, but not outside the norms of his personality. He spent a lot of the time texting, but that's pretty regular for a teenager. That evening, he told his mum that he was going to go see a mate and he wouldn't be home for dinner. He got in his car, he drove off, and it was the last time that his family would see him alive because Conrad Roy committed suicide. The next morning, when he wasn't home, his mum found it super odd. She said it wasn't like him at all and called the police straight away. She gave them a description of him, of the car that he was driving, and it didn't take them long to find him. His car was in a Kmart parking lot and Conrad was in the driver's seat, and unfortunately, he was already dead by the time the police got there. He had committed suicide by carbon monoxide poisoning by setting up a water pump in the back seat. Now, it was later determined that it would take about 20 minutes for him to die, and he had died between 7:30 and 8 p.m. the night before. When his family was told about his passing, they went straight to his room to have a look around, which is completely normal, especially when you're experiencing grief. Maybe he had left some kind of clue as to why, or potentially maybe he had left a letter or a note, and he actually did. He had left several, each to different members of his family and close friends, and one to a girl called Michelle, but his family didn't know who she was. They opened the letter, and inside he had thanked Michelle for talking him down so many times over the years and for being there for him. So when Michelle reached out, they were completely open to starting a relationship with her. She went to his funeral, she would call, text, email quite a lot, urging the family to be strong, saying that's what Conrad would have wanted, and apologising that this time, the time that he was successful, she wasn't able to save him. But things started to get weird pretty quickly. After his funeral, Michelle asked his family if she could go into his room and keep some of his things. She asked his family if she could have some of his ashes, and she became like an anti-suicide activist online. And again, without their permission, she set up a baseball game for charity in his memory. And there was one detective who, in this seemingly cut and dry case, thought that they would dig a little deeper. He went through Conrad's phone, and on there he found the real Michelle Carter. This amazing girl who had tried to save Conrad multiple times had messaged him encouraging the suicide. Over and over and over again, she had told him that he should kill himself. One message read, "I don't get why you don't just try overdosing again and go somewhere private, you already know it works." The messages began 10 days, like just over a week before Conrad died, and a few days before he passed away. He had planned to overdose on sleeping pills, and when he changed his mind, she got mad at him, saying that she knew he wouldn't really try. She felt like an idiot that he had led her on. She told him that she had poured her heart out to him, thinking that it would be the last time that she spoke to him, but he didn't kill himself, and she felt played and stupid. And then the week leading up to his death, Michelle had texted him 40 times asking when he was going to do it, arguing with him when he made excuses not to take his own life. She researched how he could do it. She gave him all the information, and she advised on the method as well. And on July 12th, the day had come. Now, their text began in the early hours of the morning. She messaged him saying he'd been putting it off, that he doesn't do what he said he's going to do, and he's never ever going to get to it. Conrad told her that he was hesitant, that he didn't know why, and Michelle said that he was because he was overthinking it, and all he had to do was park up, put the generator on, and that if he wanted it as much as he said he did, that he would do it today. He was worried where to park up. He didn't want to get caught too early. And you may note that I've been paraphrasing a bunch here, and I will include the transcripts of the actual text in the description box, but there are so many. Michelle was pretty much saying that today was the day and now is the time that he needs to do it. So while he's walking on the beach with his family and his mum thinks he's on the phone loads. His girlfriend is telling him to kill himself. Police were able to recover the messages on his phone, even though he deleted them, and 3 hours before he took his own life, Michelle was texting him constantly. It was a stream of messages now, saying that he was procrastinating, he was putting it off, and he just needs to do it. When he got to the car park at around 6 p.m, Michelle and Conrad spoke on the phone. Now, we know what she said because she messaged her friends after, and these messages began at around 8 p.m, just after Conrad's window of death. She said to one friend that he called her, she heard moaning that someone was in pain and he wouldn't answer when she called his name, and she thinks he killed himself. A few days later, she said that she blamed herself, it was her fault that she was on the phone when he did it and that she could hear him in pain. And while the police were actually recovering the messages from Conrad's phone, Michelle began panicking, texting the same mate saying that she'd get into trouble if the police read the text between her and Conrad, that his family would hate her and that she would go to jail because she could have stopped him. She said that he got out of the car, that he was scared that it was working, and Michelle told him to get back in. And it was then that she was arrested for involuntary manslaughter. Now, at the trial, the main thing that proved manslaughter were the texts that Michelle sent to her friend, detailing the fact that she instructed Conrad to get back into the car. She was found guilty and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison, which was reduced to 15 months, and then she appealed, so she actually didn't end up going to jail until 2019. Now, she's since been released on good behaviour after serving just under a year for the death of Conrad Roy. I did say at the top of this video that this was going to be a polarizing one. This was going to be a case that divided you, and I want to know what you think. Above all, I want to know what you think of the crime, of the case, of the trial, of the charge, and of the sentencing of Michelle Carter. Now, she was found guilty of the manslaughter of Conrad Roy. Do you think that was the right charge? Do you think she should have been arrested? And do you think that 2.5 or 15 months was enough of a sentence for somebody who was found responsible for the death of someone else? Let me know in the comments box, and as always, I hope you have a great week. I hope you guys keep safe. I'll see you next Monday for another slice of true crime, and yeah, thank you for watching.